Give him a PB. Killed my brother.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the May 11th, 2021 County Council meeting. We'll call it to, now let's stand for the pledge. Our flag is on the board.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We say the prayer. Father, we thank you for this day, and we ask that you be with us and help us, Lord, to make good decisions with the county's money, Lord. Help us and be with us. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Are we going to start with Steve or with Andrew? Is Andrew on down?
Andrew's on down. Yeah, I'll put Steve first.
Okay. We're going to hear from the RDA, the Regional Development Authority. Steve Meyer.
Yeah, come on. Jamie, we're going to tag team you here for a minute.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I guess I can sit down. If there's nothing else you remember from what I said today, I'm going to leave something with you. Cooperation or collaboration, not competition. If you remember that, nothing else I say, that's what I had this presentation last night at the City Council. I'm supposed to talk about the RDA. How many here know what the RDA is? A couple of you. That's good. But the RDA was formed, Scott County was, originally RDAs were formed in 2015. And at that time, we couldn't get enough Southern Indiana people interested in joining. And the caveat was that there was going to be about $150 million worth of money put into use to develop economic development around the state. And at that time, there was three RDAs in the state that applied and were accepted to get $42 million. Evansville, Gary, and Muncie, Anderson area. $42 million. So we went about, I didn't, they decided to try again. So in 2017, the Scott County Council, along with the councils of Floyd, Clark, Jefferson, and Washington, even Harrison County, the councils approved the formation of the Regional Development Authority, which RDA stands for. At that time, the county council in Harrison County, they didn't want to play. So they didn't join. So there's 5 counties that make up the RDA, Regional Development Authority. And we had a first meeting in January of 2018. I was appointed by the commissioners. John Jones represents Washington County. Ken Roush represents Floyd County. Dana Huber represents Clark County. And Kevin Kellums represents Jefferson County. So we formed this group hoping that, and under the idea that that same amount of money was going to be put in 2019 in the biennium budget from the legislature. Well, things got cut. There was no money at all there. So since 2018, we've sort of been like a paddle wheel, just spinning our wheels, going nowhere, hoping that at some time, some of that money would appear. And this year, of course, it did. The governor put in $500 million, it's $500 million for regional development, economic development, and regionalism, really, regional collaboration. And so what they're going to do, as we understand, I heard Rachel earlier talking about the ARP, nobody really knows yet exactly what the parameters are. It's still wide open. It's kind of like the Wild West. Nobody knows, and they keep coming in changing their minds. The same thing is true with this pot of money, $500 million. We, in 2019, 18, late 18, we were accepted by IEDC to get a $150,000 grant to write a plan. And we wrote this plan. We didn't, I mean, we were involved in it, but we had consultants who helped us develop a plan called Our Region, Our Plan. It's on the website for the RDA. So we have the feeling that we are positioned ourselves in, at least in the right direction. We're ahead of a lot of other, because a lot of the other RDAs have since sort of disbanded or not even operating. So what the state has decided to do initially is to award $50 million to 10 regions. They don't have to go 50 million, they maybe go above it. It depends on who applies. The only problem with that is that you only have 120 days to develop a plan, to get your act together so that you can apply. And so by August 31st, we have to have some sort of plan submitted. Where does that plan come from? We use the base of Our Region, Our Plan. That's going to be the base. We have the feeling that if IEDC is going to give us $150,000 to develop a plan, we ought to be one step forward in terms of getting a plan to the state, to IEDC, who's going to decide who gets the money and for what they get the money for. And so that's our tremendous advantage, I think, that we have that plan. We're working together. We're trying to develop some sort of regionalism. Rachel came out to our meeting we had at the Scott County Mid-American Science Center out there, and probably the first time you've ever seen, heard about RDA. Well, we've been meeting, as I said, since 2018. There were probably 80 people out there. That's what happens when you get access to $500 million. People come out of the woodwork, and they came out of the woodwork. We have all kinds of people, and here again, cooperation, not competition, comes into play. We know, and I think you all understand, that River Ridge drives the economy in southern Indiana. There's 10,500 jobs down there. They predict at the meeting in the next couple of years it's going to go to 17.5. New Albany, or Floyd County, has started what they call a Nova Park. And they're putting millions of dollars in down there through grants and matching money to develop not somewhat what River Ridge is, but a kind of tech center down there. So there's a lot of things going on that is going to affect us. What do we need to do? And we're looking for ideas from councils, from mayors, from commissioners, nonprofits can apply. And as you'll find out, though, there has to be some regional collaboration. It has to be. That's one of the points in it. And this new ready money will be distributed hopefully before the end of the year. Hopefully before the end of the year. As with your ARP, that money probably has to be spent before 2024. We're hoping that maybe you can use that ARP money as a county match. And what came out of it, and what the state has said now, they want to try to develop a private-public consortium. Take that money and use it as a base or a guide to bring private investment in. We had the opportunity to travel last year down to Evansville to see what they did with their $42 million. Their $42 million brought in billions, that's with a B, billions of dollars of private investment. They now established a medical school in downtown Evansville, a medical complex that they utilized their money that they got. It's kind of like the Stellar Cities program. Madison has gotten that, and they're utilizing it. But we still are uncertain exactly what they're looking for. And it's going to be something not just to benefit Scott County and not just to benefit Jefferson County or Washington County. I personally think Scott County's right on Interstate 65. It's going to be a 3-lane highway before you know it. Interstate 65 is going to be 3 lanes. And we're going to be able to, you're going to be able to live in Scottsburg, live in Scott County, drive to Louisville or River Ridge easier than the people that live on the other side of the river, even with the new bridges. One reason is land's cheap. Everybody said, land's cheap in southern Indiana compared to what it is on the other side of the river, because it's built out over there. So where are those people going to live? One of the things that we found that surprised me, jobs follow housing. I always was thinking that housing followed jobs, but all of the studies we've done, affordable housing is one of the biggest things you need. And that's one of the needs that we've kind of looked at. We've looked at regional trails, we've looked at broadband. I mean, that flag went up right from the get-go. And Floyd County has gotten a private contractor out of Salem that is expanding, because there's large parts of Floyd, believe it or not, Floyd's one of the 5 smallest by area counties in the state of Indiana. But there are areas in Floyd County that does not have broadband. There's areas in Clark County that does not have broadband. You all know there's areas in Scott County that does not have broadband. That is one of the top priorities we have. But what we found is there's so many players in the broadband game that it's difficult to bring them together. They are in competition. There is no cooperation there. Very little, let's put it that way. So we've got a big barrier to jump. But we look at it as sort of a race. I mean, we're just starting now. We've done the start. Now there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that we're looking forward to trying to access. And like I said, I am Scott County's representative. We started from the early meetings when we introduce ourselves to the 3 or 4 or 5 people that are in the audience. We would start out saying, you know, I'm Scott County's representative, and we've tried to get away from that. And if you notice the other day, there's only one of the members said, I represent Jefferson County, Kevin did, and he still does that. But we're trying to think regionally, not locally. And that's difficult. I understand from your standpoint, I understand from the commissioners, from the mayors, that's a huge hurdle to jump. But if they want access to some of this money, they've got to do it. They've got to play. And I will tell you, Harrison County, they did not join this group. But if you were, and Rachel was here last Friday, Harrison County spoke up and said, what do we need to do? You know, we're a part of River Hills, but we're not a part of the RDA. They didn't want to play when we started that because they were afraid. I think they were afraid, and we don't know. We think they were afraid because the council down there didn't want to think that we might get some of their vote money. And maybe that's true. But now all of a sudden that there's this pot of money, they're wanting to get involved. And so that's one of the things we have to deal with. They're a part of the region. They're a big part of the region. I mean, they're located about the same amount of distance away from Louisville as we are on I-64. But I still think that Scott County is sitting in a really excellent place because of transportation. So one of the things we're looking at is, as we talked about Jamie's infrastructure, well, Madison, you know, Indiana 62 runs from right by River Ridge up to Madison. State Road 3 goes right down through Charleston. But that, if they project that there's going to be another 7,500 people working at River Ridge, where are they going to live? Where are they going to live? So there's all kinds of things out there that we're looking at and we're trying. We have to decide this. We have to take what these different entities bring to us. We have a scorecard we've kind of come up with to decide what do we want to use to apply. And it may not be specific to Scott County. I'll tell you that right up front. But I do want to thank the council, and most of you probably weren't on at the council back in 2017 when we started this thing. But they were one of the first councils to say, hey, this sounds like a great idea, we want to be a part of it. So I applaud Scott County for doing that. And I've tried to push, different things that we've heard all kinds of things about water lines running from River Ridge or the old Army ammunition plant that's still controlled by, I think, the Army. There's tremendous amounts of water down there. And believe it or not, Salem has a water problem. We have in Scottsburg have had a water problem at times. There was ideas of running a pipeline from those wells down there. That aquifer is huge, all the way up to Columbus, up I-65. I mean, we've heard everything. And we're still trying to bring things together because we have to. We only have 120 days, less than 120 days now to come up with some sort of plan or proposal to give IEDC. So when that happens and when we decide on something, one of the things that Wendy Chancellor, who has provided One Southern Indiana, has been our savior because they provided us with leadership and the day-to-day activities. And we want to flood the State House when that happens. That's what Evansville did. They bust people up there. And we're going to try to do the same thing. Try to get as many elected officials, just run the gamut of people to go up and say, look, this is what we want to do. This is good for us. This is good for our region. But to get to that point, we've got to come up with a plan. We have the plan, we have the basic, but our plan is going to have to change a little bit because the parameters of what we can use this money, it's called the READY, R-E-A-D-Y, and I always have to look at it. It's called Regional Economic Acceleration Development Initiative. And as I said, there's a tight timeline for funds. We have to have a plan submitted by August 31st. The proposal will be awarded on economic impact, degree of regional collaboration, and impact to rural areas. Hey, we're a rural area. And so they're talking brick and mortar projects that supports business and population growth. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jamie because they're doing a vision plan. We have a comprehensive plan somewhere. Well, at least we did have a comprehensive plan for the county. And those things, they're very important to have that in place. So Jamie, you want to tell them a little bit about it?
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jamie Topi, Director with the Scott County Community Foundation. And we've been involved in a lot of regional collaborations over the last several years and more recently community planning. So hopefully you all have received the community needs assessment that we did last year. So that was kind of the first step into what we're working on now, which is the Scott County Vision Plan. So where does everybody see Scott County going in the next however many years? So we have, as a result of the needs assessment, we have several committees that are working on the different issues that came up. Get Healthy Scott County is working on, health. CEASE is working on the substance abuse prevention. We have an early childhood education committee working on those issues, and arts and recreation committee. So we're just convening all of these different groups that are working on the issues in Scott County, and then we're going to bring everything together for this vision plan. So I just kind of wanted to add on to what Steve has said. We've got a lot of community planning that has been happening for a lot of years. Steve has been attending these meetings for several years without knowing if there was going to be any money, but here we are. This is everything that we've been doing for so many years is for this point in time. We've got a lot of money coming into the community. We've got is it the ARP money? I've heard of the opioid settlement money that's coming in. We've got the READY money that's coming in. This is many, many millions of dollars that is coming to Scott County that was not expected, but we have to take advantage of this so that by the time we are done, Scott County is better than we were pre-COVID. We need to set our future generations up for success. We need to make Scott County a wonderful place to live. This is the opportunity to do that. And it's going to take, like Steve said, it's going to take all of us working together, because if we don't, we're going to have duplication of resources. If we have a certain nonprofit asking Steve or asking that group for money and other ones asking for this money and everybody's working together, I promise you the state is not going to approve any of that. Everything has got to be working together in collaboration. I would encourage you to look on the RDA's website. It's OUR, soinrda.org, that has the full plan, which is very big, and then has a Scott County work plan within that. And one of the things that Steve and I have talked about, and I'll throw out there, because it's also showed up in our needs assessment, and it will show up in our vision plan. There's been a lot of talk in Scott County about the needs for a sports complex. This is a perfect example. We invest millions of dollars into a sports complex. What follows? Private investment. We've got restaurants coming, we've got hotels coming, we've got all kinds of money that is flowing into Scott County from people who are traveling here. That is just one project that might be on the list of possibilities, and it's written into this plan. So think big, think visionary, but we also need to be strategic. We need to work together. We need to make sure we don't just squander the money and spend it on things that aren't gonna really make an impact. So just be thoughtful about it. That's what we're just encouraging everybody as we go around and talk to, school boards and city and county councils and commissioners, I think in a week or two, that we just want everybody to work together as a community just to really make Scott County push us ahead of where we need to be.
Anybody have any questions?
Can you give the website again?
Yes, it's OURSOINRDA.org. And also, if you go to the Community Foundation's website, we've got a menu that says community plans. We have multiple community plans, like C's plan, our needs assessment, all of those. The link to their website, that's all on there as well.
And one more question. If a non-for-profit or any type of organization would want to present, how they really like to be included in this, is that information on the website, or how do they go about that?
Well,
That would really take away. You need to collaborate with
they have,
what's going
yeah,
on.
I can say you can,
It's gotta be big.
we haven't
picture,
crossed
I
that,
think.
we haven't crossed that
I
line
mean, I was
yet.
just curious.
Yeah, I understand. And we've talked about that. They're not going to approve nonprofits individually from Scott County and say, hey, we need this, da. That's just not gonna happen. It's gotta be regional. It's gotta be forward thinking that encompasses the whole region. So that's kind of the mindset we're trying to grapple with. How do you do that, because I'd say the hardest thing in politics is looking farther down the road than just your hand. It may not immediately benefit Scott County, but maybe in 5 years, it may be a boon to Scott County. And that's kind of the way I look at this. So that's not answering your question, Diane. We really don't know how that's gonna look yet. We're looking for people to come up with some ideas and projects. We have some things that we have put in the plan that we've looked at. Some things that I'm not as happy with as other things, but it's important to some people. It's important. One of the things that, and this sounds bad because we're talking about Clark and Floyd, but the green space down there that they're doing down along the river, you can't believe how much private investment is in that and what that will benefit, not just Clark and Floyd, but I think all of Southern Indiana. It's going to be a destination. It's going to be a destination. So that's, again, does it immediately impact Scott County? I don't know. I doubt it. But will it 4 or 5 years down the road? Yeah. I do know that education is not one of the things that the money can be used for. For some reason, that is not a important part of the plan of ready money. You look at me like I did read that, there is so much. I've been told ARP money and this money, maybe just like PPP money that went out to help small businesses. First came, even my wife got one in Louisville. It came out, there were so many restrictions of what you can use for it. You know what they did? They came back and said, don't worry about it, we're changing. And I've been told that after looking at this, especially the ARP money, the same thing's gonna happen. They're just gonna say, how can they as much money as they're giving away to counties to utilize, and cities, what do you get, 4.58 million, something like that, the county? The cities get it. I initially thought the city money was gonna be included in that, but that's separate. City money separate. So all of these communities, just exactly like you, all the councils are sitting there thinking, how can we use this money? And the parameters now are, you don't know. You don't know. I hope that the commissioners have passed the ordinance allowing to set up a fund for that money, because that money is supposed to come in May 11th for Scott County. You know that. Because we're less than $50,000. They have to set up a line item to accept the money. And we assume something like that's going to happen here with the ready money. But I especially want to thank you all for at least letting us present. And I should have done this a long time ago. But why do you come to a council and say you need to support us when there's no money? We're just sitting there going around and around and around. And I know there have been certain members on the team that have gotten very disillusioned because we have put a lot of work in. We meet again next Friday, June
That first
Ninth.
Friday in June.
the first Friday. And we're going to meet at the Mid-American Science Center again because it's socially distanced, there's a lot of room, and we've had a lot of people show up. We have been meeting monthly till the COVID struck, and then we went every other month. Now we've got like 5 or 6 meetings coming up real quick because we've got to come up with some sort of a plan to submit to the IEDC. So you're always welcome to come. We had a council president in Floyd County there, which, that's a first for us. And we had Rachel. So that's a first for us to get the word back to the councils to thank you, because for one thing, it didn't cost you any money. It didn't cost you any money. We've been meeting. We don't get paid. We just show up and try to do the work of the region. But I do want to thank you for your support and hopefully your continued support, because we're trying. We're trying. It's a difficult barrier to cross, but we're trying.
Well, we thank you guys for having the hope and the readiness to go ahead and do the plan and have us set where we're actually able to be ready to
We're
take
out
some
of
of
the
this money
starting blocks.
if
Let's
we
put
get
it
the
that way,
projects.
but- So if you have any questions, please contact me, call me, email me, whatever. If I don't know it, Wendy will answer our questions. She has been fantastic. Wendy Chester, who's head of One Southern Indiana, and they are now coupled with our Chamber of Commerce.
Our economic development is contracted with them, services and stuff.
And they are fantastic. You cannot believe the resources they have to utilize. And I think they're primarily responsible for the getting multicolor coming in. So they have been fantastic. I think it's a tremendous asset for Scott County. And believe it or not, Washington and Jefferson County are updating their comprehensive plan, and the same bunch of consultants are doing theirs as well as ours. So there may be some collaboration there that we can utilize.
And the consultant that did the RDA plan is also doing our Scott County Vision Plan as well, so.
So thank you. Sorry to take your time, but talk too much.
Thank you guys.
And thanks for putting us on first. Because last night at City Council, I was last, so I had to set through all that.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
The Monday meetings, are they for everybody?
Anybody and everybody.
Monday at 3?
The Monday is a 3 o'clock meeting, and I think it's a Zoom
Yep.
meeting, so you can.
Yes.
But
I forgot
the Friday that he was talking about at the Science Park is at 10 a.m.
So
And that's in person.
there's one June 4th, that was
Yes.
the collaboration one.
That's,
Are all of them
That's
gonna
the one
be
you were
at
just
the
at.
Mid-America Science Center?
no, they're not all gonna be there. We had not, because we had set up, we go to one county every other month or every month. And so there's so much room out there for us to utilize that it worked out well. We had been meeting in like the commissioners' rooms in Floyd County, the government center down there in New Albany, and we've met at the council room in Clark County, and the courthouse in Salem, and we're going to meet at Hanover College. We have met at Hanover College and at the city council meeting. So, yes, every Monday at 3 o'clock, there's a Zoom meeting that Wendy's getting things every day on how this money can be used and what it can be utilized for. Thank you, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Sheriff, how long's your list first?
I'll be done in 3 minutes.
No, that never happened.
Let me time it.
That never happened.
Actually, the only thing I've got is just a carryover from last month, just that last bill that you advertised for. And then, after that, then really the only thing you talk about is see what you all want to do about possibly adding a line under the budget. I've worked the deal up with the city of Scottsburg and the city of Austin with the authority of the commissioners. They're wanting to use our prisoners to help out with mowing and cleaning inside the cities. So the cities they're going to sign a contract with us, and they're going to put the monies in to Scott County. They're going to send it to us. The only thing I have to make sure is it goes into a line item where I can pay because I have to have the jailers out there with them to do it. So basically what it's going to be is they're going to be paying our jailers to watch these guys and girls do the cleaning. So I don't know and I talked to Teresa about it, and I hadn't had a chance to talk to Tammy, but I guess probably the best thing to do is you said maybe just creating a different line item completely in the budget and just shipping it straight there where you all decide.
Yeah, it depends, we'll have to, if the county requires money to be put up as well, or are you just using the city's money?
We're just using the city's money. Now, let me ask you this. It'll probably be a reimbursement type deal because those people are paid out of the general fund. So then what we would do is we would reimburse the general fund that monies that they were getting paid. So however that.
So once the commissioners get something written up, then we can create a line item.
They've already approved that, haven't they?
Yeah, they approved it. I've got, actually Josh Stigton is writing up a interlocal agreement for Austin and Scottsburg both.
Okay.
So when I talked to him, I left him a message yesterday. Of course, it's hard to get a hold of, but just as soon as I hear back from him, I'll have the interlocal agreement, and then I'll bring that to you. But I was hoping, and again, this is something that you all need to think about, to have that set up. That way, we would have access to those funds immediately, because Scottsburg and Austin will go ahead and send us $10,000. It's a 26-week deal. They'll go ahead and send us the monies, and we'll put it in there, and we can start using it immediately to reimburse.
Yeah.
that.
If there is no county money involved, if we're just using the cities, my suggestion is we create a fund and put that money directly, and there is just one trail of accounting for it. It's not commingled with general fund or anything else. So if commissioners are going to approve the fund, then you all would approve the line item in the fund and to set up the budget.
Go ahead and do it before the agreement or after?
We'll have to advertise it for the next meeting, but we're getting the funds in. So this is a home rule fund. You can go ahead and put the line item in place.
We can do that today.
All right, create a line item. Do you have a number, or what do we want to call it? City,
I'm thinking more so cleanup.
okay.
Actually, I don't have anything like that. If you council agrees on a name, I can set that up. I'll
Okay.
create a number for it. So if it is sheriff department cleaning,
Something like that, the old
Yeah, that's fine.
Sheriff Department.
Yeah, Sheriff's Department, trying to use prisoners, it's the prisoners, they'll be doing like all types of cleaning and picking up garbage, mowing, and whatever else needs to be done.
prisoner maintenance.
Prisoner maintenance, that'd be good. So move on that line item.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Lindy will second it. All in favor? Good deal.
I think that'd be a big asset to the communities. We've already got the one crew that's going out and doing all the county stuff. Now we can help out the cities too, so I think it'd be a great asset. So, and then the only thing I got left is just the last month's thing, we had to push it over. So
It's at 3,000.
$3,965.
Okay,
That was for the
I
COVID
only
room.
had 3,800.
That's
I
fine.
advertised 3,800.
3,800, okay. It's $3,965.
Do I have a motion to accept?
This
That was
is
just an additional from what we did last time. Last time we did 16.
Yes. And
It's
this,
continuation of previous business.
This was a
Yes.
bill that he didn't have yet on the same thing that we did last week, but then
Had to be
it wasn't advertised.
Move to
So
approve.
38, Raymond motion.
and Raymond, I have advertised that in hospital reserve, general fund, and lit. So where would you like
Lit.
lit?
Hospital reserve is sacred.
We have a little bit left, and that's one thing I wanted to explain to council. When the past council appropriated the 300,000 for the 27th pay at the end of the year, there was a little left over that was not expended. That was a high estimated number to make sure we covered that 27th pay. So,
But this can be taken from lit, so let's,
yeah, it can be. I just want you to know that you've got a budget in hospital reserve yet to be expended, and public health nurse too is part of that. But you will have a little bit of a balance left in hospital reserve from that 300,000. So I just want to make sure that this council knows that. But you say it's from lit for 3,800.
do I have a second?
I'll say it.
Ab second. All in favor? Eric on the, all opposed?
Second.
Did you oppose the last one?
Huh?
Were you for or against the last one?
Which one?
The-
last
the-
vote?
the-
I was for the last vote,
To create the line item?
yes.
Okay. So,
And then we also have the drug buy funds. As you all did discuss that at the last meeting. I advertised 10,000 in the same three funds. Hospital reserve, where there is already 3,000 paid from that for drug buy. So we have, hospital reserve, general fund, and lit for 10,000 for drug buy that you all discussed at the last meeting.
And kind of a refresher on that is that Scott County has a county ordinance that says that the commissioners have to fund the drug buys for the sheriff's office. So that's the reason why we had to switch money numbers. And that, I've got a copy of the ordinance number here. It is ordinance 2015-003.
Didn't the commissioners approve though that the drug buy could come out of the commissary money though?
Well, the commissioners actually can't approve that because that's only a council issue for a commissary. So it would have to come from, you see what I'm saying, you guys would have to approve that. The commissioners can't do that. The only thing we went by is that in the ordinance it says in here.
we have to
That's
maintenance
very
this
specific.
account.
I'm sorry, Madam President, I already said.
So we have to maintenance this account.
Yes,
Due to
right,
that
yeah, that's
paper
what I'm
that you
saying.
gave us the last time.
Yeah, it just basically says to establish in the county a special non-reverting fund to be known as the Scott County Sheriff's Office Drug Buy Fund to convert investigation cash fund, into which shall be deposited $1,000. This amount shall be maintained throughout the period of the fund's existence, saying that it has to be at least $1,000 in there all the time. You can't get that $1,000. But on the commissary side, any approval that I get to spend that has to come from the county council, just for information.
But you can use drug buy money from the commissary.
We've been using it, but we've been reimbursing it after we used it. It's just a temporary fund.
We okayed it as long as it was brought to us that we could go over it. I don't know how you want to word that, but it was in case they needed extra money before they could get to our meeting. then it could come out of commissary, but then we had to be told about it, or it was all,
We was using it for temporary funding, like we
Yeah.
had permission to do that, so.
Oh, again, that has been advertised in hospital reserve, lit, and general fund.
So move.
which one?
The drug reimbursement.
Lit, or general fund, or hospital reserve.
Where do you wanna move it from? How much is in lit? Are we looking all right in lit?
In lit, that is, about 365. So you've got room in that, in lit
You
for
want,
that.
you want to do it
Alright.
lit instead of hospital?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so Donnie motioned to move $10,000 out of the lit to the drug buy fund. Do I have a second? I'll second it. All in favor? 7-0?
No,
No.
did you?
You're no. All opposed?
Is you for it?
That's what
That should be 6-1.
Okay, 6-1.
What's the balance on the hospital reserve?
Your balance after your budget, after the budget that's in there, will be about 23,000.
So that's what's going to be left.
Yeah, in hospital reserve, will be around 23,000.
Okay.
And that, again, Raymond, that was, not all the 300,000 was expended for the 27th pay, so you had a little bit of room there.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, that's all I have. I know there's a little more than three. I'm sorry.
Man, thank you. That was
Unless you have
a,
some questions
that
for
was a
me.
fast one.
Do you have anything else you want?
Oh, man.
No, he just said,
Thank you.
He had a short
Anything, let
agenda.
me know.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
That's true. See
oh,
y'all.
the safe spot looks really nice, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, and I think that's a wonderful idea.
We're getting people use it already. People say that some people
I
already.
shared it on Facebook and all my social media, and I just think it's a wonderful.
While a lot of people, before you guys leave, May 22nd is the next Farmers to Family, so make sure you get the word out and tell people and,
Let me ask you, I'm sorry too, since you said that, May the 22nd is the day we're having our auction, the sheriff's auction, and it's at the Mid-America Science Center.
Okay.
So that will be a conflict on that. So,
ours shouldn't last very long, so people will be to yours.
We had a record this time. The truck was there at 8 o'clock. We got it unloaded. We started at 9 instead of 10, and the line was done at 9:18.
oh, that's good.
And then I had to call the radio station and have them come on down,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we were done in 18 minutes. with a
May,
line.
what time's the auction start?
10.
10.
I think the doors will open up at 8 though for people to peruse, I guess you call it an auction, ain't it? They can peruse around a little bit and check things out. And also on that too, so you got me, Raymond, you jinxed me, buddy. It's gonna take a little longer. There'll be two, the monies when they come in for that, all the monies that comes from guns and ammunition will have to go into the firearms training fund as per IC code 35 something. I've got it down here if you need it, but, and then all the other monies, like the stuff like from the gold to jewelry, all other non-firearm items will go into the state auction fund. So it'll be two different funds that money's going
Yeah,
to.
there is already a fund set up for the sheriff's department for auction proceeds that they've used in the past.
All
And
right,
that's it.
sounds great, thank
See
you.
y'all. Thank you.
All right, Andrew? Where'd you advertise his from?
Thank you, sir. Oh,
board.
General.
Oh. All right, you guys ready for me?
No,
No. I'm gonna move the flag over here real quick.
smart guy stuff, no.
We're done.
All right. How is everybody?
Wonderful.
Got a couple new faces, so just want to say hi. The county has a really good opportunity to upgrade our IT infrastructure, really looking at broadband. So to really explain this all out, I'm going to draw it out for you guys because it's actually easier to go over it. That's a cloud. That's an ugly cloud, so. So, the cloud's gonna be our internet. Our internet, what we have right now. Over here, we have EMS. We have highway, and we have the health department. All these little squares are a piece of equipment that makes the phone systems work, servers work. This is pretty much the backbone that lets the user sit down, get on their computer, do their daily job. So right now, let's say this is the PBX, which is the phone system here at the courthouse. Over here at these three buildings is the phone systems also. We got our firewall, and we also have a switch that handles all the network traffic. To make a connection back and forth daily, single phone call comes in, say, I want to call EMS. Right now, phone call comes in PBX, has to make all of these hops, has to go back into the internet and run back down to each department. Has to go through the firewall, switch, and another phone system. There is a lot of room in there for error, jitter, bad phone calls, even dropped phone calls. Because the city's providing this internet, which it's good, I cannot complain. But if the internet's overloaded, say my switches are running heavy, firewall is running heavy, that's running heavy, they're trying to say EMS has 3 webinars going at the same time, but they need to make a phone call. That firewall is going, okay, I gotta provide data, but at the same time get this phone call to go through, but I'm struggling. I can't keep up. So, to make that work, the firewall here at the courthouse actually does VPN traffic to all of these offices, which EMS, highway, and health department is limited by their bandwidth. So, say EMS, like I said, they're doing webinars, data's really getting pulled down, phone calls coming through. The firewall here at the courthouse says, hey, you got a phone call, firewall goes, okay, let's send it on over. But I can only upload, we have the paperwork? What was the speed for, say, EMS? 200 by 50. EMS can only upload back 50 megabits per second, and that's it. So now we're struggling with bandwidth issues, because that's all they have. If we switch to this dark fiber project, we very much did the same topology over here. Switch and firewall. Here's the big difference. So you see right now, these three buildings are talking back to the internet, coming back to us. If the internet drops out, it's having a really bad day today. Phones go out. Phones are down, phones are down, phones are down. So we come over here. This is how different it looks. As you can see, there's a lot of boxes gone. So, this is pretty much a switch, switch, switch. All the departments will be talking back to the firewall here directly over fiber. Doesn't travel back through the internet, no need for firewalls. Plus, like I said earlier, EMS only has 200 megabits per second down, 50 megabits per second up. If we go to this, we have 10,000 megabits per second, and that is back and forth at the same time. Every business.
10 up,
Every
10
office.
down. I'm sorry, 10 up and 10 down?
Do what?
10 up and 10 down?
10 gigs, 10 gigabytes.
Right, but it's the
both
same
ways.
up and down?
Yep, both ways. So, if EMS is streaming 20 webinars, doesn't matter. My PBX is gonna go, hey, I got a phone call for you, and it's gonna say, you know what, bring it on. You know what, I got, there's 3 more calls. Don't matter, bring it on. It's fine. Anything that we push to the new, with this dark fiber to the offices, no hiccups, no problems. Also say, you know what, bad day again, internet's out. The PBX can still talk to EMS, the highway, and the health department. All of their files, servers, everything will be located here at the central node. So if the internet's out, doesn't matter. They can work, make phone calls, all that good stuff. That's it. Questions?
How much you need?
All right, let's get to the money part.
We've needed this for a long time.
Yes.
I've addressed this with you about the health department's phone more than once.
Since we've had the new phone system, it's saved the county, I think we was paying around $80,000 a year, it was, and we're around $1,100 a month. That's good, but I'd say we probably have uptime to the health department. EMS does have phone issues also. Probably 80 to 85% uptime, which is not good. They need to make phone calls. They need to dial out, emergency, anything. They need to be able to make a call. So,
Does that happen pretty often, the internet being down?
not really. The city's pretty good, but I mean, it's not 100% uptime. I'd say probably within this year, I think we've had maybe, I'd say a couple complete outages that doesn't last long, so within minutes. So, but as for phone issues, I mean, Michelle can even vouch for me. It does happen.
Probably 3 times a week at least.
Yeah. So,
And it's, I mean, when we do our vaccine clinics, we're using 3 iPads, 3 computers, we have 4 phone lines. Like, you can just tell sometimes the system gets a little.
yeah, it gets
Overworked.
overworked, starts
We have
jittering.
static calls or every other word or echoing and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Or just a complete drop.
Yeah.
When you're sitting there going, you there?
Yep.
And no one's there.
Yep.
So. All right, money part. I am asking $20,000 to start the project off. You can look at our current expenses on the left. Yearly, it's $11,997.36. That's for our current system. to move up to the new dark fiber project would be $1576.83. So there's really not a big difference monthly. It's not too bad for the city running fiber from here on poles all the way down and maintaining it. $500 some extra a month. It's not too bad. Let's see here. So the $20,000 I'm asking is to start the project, pay for it the rest of the year. Also, that leaves me a little bit of wiggle room of $10,000 that can be used for equipment, maybe some upgrades when we get this going. Once we get this going, we're going to be at 10 gigs a second. We can easily go 40 gigs a second or even go 100 gigs a second, which is astronomical and probably overkill, but we do have that opportunity to grow down the road also. So $20,000, finish the year out, and equipment in case say, hey, this is nice, but we can do a little bit better. We can upgrade this one switch, get a little faster speed, maybe a little bit better performance. So the $20,000 could, and I say could, be reimbursed by COVID money. Now I know you guys don't have any paperwork in front of you how that's going to trickle in or when or how it's going to be used, so that I know that's down the road, but it could be. There is a category for a broadband infrastructure in the grant, so that is something to keep in mind. Then next year I will absorb EMS, the highway departments, and the health department's budget to pay for their internet connection. I absorb it, then I'll budget it, then after this year, I'm not coming back to you guys for anything. And next year, I'm actually looking to cut $30,000 out of my budget. Promise 20, and believe me, next year, I'm promising this, but we're looking for 30, but promise 20. So.
Awesome.
Where did you advertise this on?
General fund.
General fund? I meant to.
Right now, you need 20.
Correct.
All right, Lindy, motion to,
And in the future, you're going to not need anything additional from us?
I'm not coming back to you guys unless I see you and say hi, and that's it.
Okay, and so you'll have your normal budget that you have every year.
Yep.
Which won't be, nothing will be added to it.
Nope. I'm
You're actually gonna give us a refund,
Yeah.
that's what you say.
Correct. I'm just asking you guys for, hey, help me out. Let's start this project. Let's run with it. Then after this year, that's it.
so we're moving it to IT.
Yeah, that's what we want you to understand too. When he says he's absorbing
IT.
the 3 departments, you won't see that line in her in the health department budget next year, but you will in his in general fund.
Well, I second that, I guess you had a motion, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, second.
So,
All right.
so will we reimburse general fund through the CARES Act money?
You can.
Can.
That's one category that they have definitely got on as an approved. But council's got it approved and commissioners, both boards have to approve how this money's being spent. But already, this is under the
Since so many things had to be
expenditures that
wireless,
came in.
they're saying that broadband was a
Oh,
big
yeah,
one that,
I'm for
Yeah.
it.
when people had to do anything with it, it
So
can
in
be
other words,
reimbursed.
after, if you, both boards prove that you want to use part of that money for this, I can adjust that expenditure over to the CARES fund, or the.
So we need to make a note of that.
Yeah.
You got that in your
Yes.
notes?
But we can appropriate that now to get them up and running.
Yeah, I can adjust it from general fund if you all so move, if you decide you want to spend it out of the ARP money, I can adjust it over out of general fund.
Commissioners already approved.
Yep.
They have his plan, not the ARP money, but
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? 7-0.
Awesome.
Thank you,
you
Andrew.
guys so much.
That's-
This is a really good opportunity. I always look out for the county. This is, September will be 8 years here. This is probably the biggest thing that I have wanted, so it'll be a very
It's
big.
much needed
Sounds
for our
good.
community, and it's a safety, and it's really a safety issue with our health department, with our EMS.
Big
They
time.
have to be able to take care of business and do what they need to do, and this is much needed.
Completely agree, 100%. This would be, it's just awesome. That's all I can say. I've lost sleep laying in bed thinking about this. I'm telling you, this is an awesome opportunity, so I greatly appreciate it.
I'm happy you're happy.
Thank you.
Whatever makes it easier for you to help us run.
Awesome.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Andrew. See you.
Okay, do we wanna do the highway department now, or we wanna skip it and get the other people that are? Let's go ahead and skip to health department, get Michelle out of here.
I'll probably stick around. How are you guys today? Good. All right, so I have a couple things. I'll start with the easiest first. It's a grant request. So every year we do an immunization grant through the State Department of Health, basically just to help fund costs that health departments do with immunization, and it also pays 50% of our public health nurse number 2 salary. With COVID, they didn't make us reapply. They just kind of said if you had it in 2020 to 2021, then you'll have it again in 21 and 2022. So the amount is $58,084. Does anyone have any questions about that? Or it's reimbursable. Like I said, the main portion of it funds our public health nurse number 2. We also get some billboards and then just general supplies for that.
What was it, 58?
$58,084.
Do I have a motion to accept it?
So moved.
Adds motion. I'll second it. All in favor?
Real quick, tell me what's going on.
The application for the immunizations, the one that pays 50% of the health nurse number 2 for $58,004. They just went ahead and re-rounded them because of COVID, so they didn't have to apply, but they have to send the paperwork in. So that's what we're going on. I have motion. I seconded. All in favor? 7-0.
Great.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. And then my other thing is the salary ordinance. So we have 2 positions at our one-stop shop who are HIV Care Coordinators. So basically, when you're diagnosed with HIV, through the state of Indiana and Ryan White funding, you can be given what's called an HIV Care Coordinator. So they help you coordinate your care. Because as we know, there's a lot of treatment and medications and things to come along when you have HIV. Unfortunately, a lot of our people who have HIV also have substance use issues. So we do a lot of care as far as, if they need medication for that, or if they want to try to go to rehab, or just other medical conditions that come along with, substance use disorder. So we had a person leave us earlier this year. And so we have one girl who's been with us for almost 4 years now. So I'd like to change her title on the salary ordinance to be lead care coordinator, not change the amount per hour. So it's a grant funded position, so we don't want to change the hourly rate and increase it. But I do want to change her title to lead. And then for the other position, keep it the same as care coordinator, but then reduce it down to $17.33 an hour. Actually a reduction, just because obviously
Experience and time.
Yeah. Anybody any questions?
going down to what?
$17.33.
And this grant is to the Ryan White County.
It's actually through the State Department of Health, but it's Ryan White funding, which is federal funding through HRSA. So you see a lot of organizations that have this up in like Indianapolis, Evansville, Terre Haute, Bloomington. Clark County was the closest one to us before the HIV outbreak. Then of course, when we had the HIV outbreak and had, over 200 people living in our community with HIV, the state directly funded us to have these services in our community so that travel and accessibility was not a barrier to people accessing care coordination.
So nothing, comes from the federal, so this cannot be locally discontinued.
Well, you guys accept the grant, so I'll come back in September and ask you guys to, again, like I did with the immunization grant just now, like ask you guys to accept the grant if we're awarded it. You know, depending on what changes between now and then, I have to apply, of course. And then you guys, if you accept that grant, it funds 2 positions at our Austin office.
But it's not tied to the needle exchange program as far as funding?
So whenever I apply for this grant, when you look at HIV in general in the state of Indiana, they don't just treat it, right? We want to do prevention, we want to do care, and then we want, you know, after they have HIV. So you have to, when you apply for this grant, and I'm more than happy to let you read my application, I talk about how we have our one-stop shop, which includes our needle exchange program. So you're preventing what we know, a large portion of our population who has HIV, how they contracted their HIV. We have a portion in there that prescribes a medication called PrEP. Basically, it's like a birth control for HIV, so you can be put on PrEP, take it every day, and even if you do happen to, you know, come in contact with HIV, it will prevent you from getting HIV. So our IU health doctors prescribe that. We also have doctors like Dr. Cook and other organizations that can prescribe that. It's really a simple regimen. And then that's part of the prevention piece of it. And then we have IU Health in there that also treats for HIV and hepatitis C. Again, we have other medical providers in the community that treat for that. So whenever I apply for my grant for these things like HIV care coordination and HIV testing, those 4 positions that staff our Austin office, it's really just a big circle of care continuum. So you wrap around those individuals that you know are high risk in your community of contracting HIV.
I think if for some reason the needle exchange is voted down, will we still be able to get this grant and still have that continuation of care?
I don't know that. When Dr. Box was here on Wednesday night for the commissioners meeting, I think Commissioner Randy Julian asked her that, and she basically said she doesn't fund they don't fund any other county the amount of money they fund us, and ones without a needle exchange definitely don't receive the funding that we do. And I can't remember the exact words that she used, but I'm sure there
Basically,
was.
if it goes away, we could lose some funding.
I mean, and I talked about this on Wednesday night too. I'm not sure how many of you watched the meeting, but if you spend $1 on syringe service programs, you save $7.58. It's much cheaper to do preventative, right? I mean, a box of syringes costs, I think around $7. And a lifetime treatment of HIV is nearly $400,000. You know, our people, unfortunately, like I said, they have substance use disorder. So when you have substance use disorder and you have HIV, you have a compromised immune system. And then if they start using dirty syringes, then you look at what we were looking at 2015 in our ERs with abscesses, skin infection, endocarditis, which is an infection around your heart because what you're putting in your body is dirty, and then that gets into your bloodstream, infection in your spinal cord. So I think probably if you looked at our average of healthcare costs, just for the people involved in our area in the outbreak, their lifetime costs are probably a lot higher than that $400,000. But I don't know that for sure. Just, you know, common sense looking at how much things like heart surgery and all that costs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all we're doing today, I need a motion to change the title of the care coordinator to lead care
Yes,
coordinator.
one of them, yes.
Okay, do I have a motion? Lindy? All right, Lindy motion to change
I'll
the
second.
title of the care coordinator. And Diane second.
I've got a question.
Yes.
The 1733,
Mhm.
with experience, are you gonna take that back up someday, or you just wanna leave?
I'll
that
probably just let when you guys do.
Just when we give raises?
Yes.
Because she wants a little area between that because the other gal's been there 4 years.
Yeah.
So somebody new coming in.
I thought we made that experience, though, that she'd take that back up, she said.
Yeah. All right, motion and a second, all in favor? Got everybody, 7-0? But you
And
got
then
notes, don't you?
my other one was the decrease to 1733.
All right, now I need a motion to change the salary of the second position, care coordinator, to $17.33 an hour. Everybody good with that? All right, a motion?
I'll second it.
Oh, Lindy,
And I'll
sorry.
second
And Diane second. All in favor? Everybody good? 7-0.
And I will say, I know you guys don't have, you know, your body isn't the one that's voting on the syringe service program. But I think like the Sheriff Good mentioned, if you, obviously if you guys did get to listen to the meeting or if you were there, there can be a lot of financial burden that I think will come if the syringe program goes away. And not necessarily positions like we're talking about today. I mean, of course, I'll apply and keep those positions, and the people in those positions know if grant money's not there, there's probably not county money for them. But with things like at the jail, like some of that's just unavoidable cost if we have another large increase of HIV, you know, in our community again. So it's definitely something to think about as the council, and you know, that's you guys when it comes to the money.
Do you ever think that it would get needle for needle instead of?
So I mean, that's just a policy. Right now, our policy is not written to be an exact one for one. That's not best practice according to CDC and the State Department of Health. They recommend needs-based, which is, we kind of do a little mix of it. So we're not completely needs-based. Needs-based would be, they come in, they say, I want however many I want, and we give it to them. That's a complete needs-based, right? Whatever they ask for, we give them. We're a little bit more like a hybrid. So when they come in for the very first time, you know, we try to keep that one-for-one going as long as we can. Obviously things happen, like they get arrested. A lot of them, you know, don't have like permanent housing, so they've lost them, you know, in transition. But then if they don't bring any back, we only give them a minimum of 10, which is one bag. So we don't ever like open up a bag and count out individual needles. So that's the minimum we give somebody. So if they don't bring any back, we just give them 10, and then we start that one-for-one exchange over. So
It just seems like it's easier for them just throwing the dish line, because if they walk in there and don't have any needles, they're still gonna get needles.
I don't necessarily think it's easier to do that, because a lot of them, we do lecture them if they don't bring any back, like, you know, if this program goes away, it's because of things like they find them in public places. So obviously that happens, you know, like you know, I think it's significantly, I know it's significantly less than what it was, just based on the number of 911 calls that we get to go pick them up.
Yeah. And I think the boxes help quite a bit too, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. So we have 4 community boxes where people can go and drop off their syringes at any time. One's in Scottsburg, and then the other 3 are in Austin. One on H2O Church on Main Avenue, one on Brill Street in front of the Church of the New Covenant, and then one at right inside of our door. So if somebody ever comes and we're not open, they can still leave their syringes there at the drop box at our door. So they don't, you know, have to risk throwing it out because wherever they go to next.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, good questions. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have anything else. COVID vaccines are going really well. I don't know if you guys keep up with the news, but probably tomorrow they will approve the Pfizer vaccine, which is the very first one ever approved to be 12 and up. So we hope to have a clinic for 12 and up maybe as soon as next week. And it's a 2-dose, so they'll come back in 21 days and get that one. So that's really encouraging. The young group has, I think, 100% efficacy, which is amazing. And then, of course, if someone is fully vaccinated, they don't have to quarantine right now if they're in close contact with somebody. So like for these sports teams and things that we saw all last school year, hopefully we have a lot less of that if kids get fully vaccinated. So yeah, I'm hoping they drop it down to littler kids so I can get my little boy vaccinated soon. All right, well, you guys have a good day. Rachel, I'm gonna
Thank you.
Thank you,
And then
Michelle.
Teresa, can you just put this in Tammy's file for next Wednesday? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle, for all your hard work.
Thank you.
911, Jeff?
I am here for one simple request, and that is to transfer some money out of the equipment fund to the new line item contractual. What I want to do is, after doing some research, I've got 8 chairs in the 911 center that are all totally different. Some of them look like they've got on the back of the truck going down the interstate 80. And when I took over, it has been neglected for quite a while, the dispatch. Our consoles are almost 21 years old. Some of them don't, the mechanisms are out in them. So I was researching those, came across a company who has a chair lease program. And 24/7 chairs range from one chair, $1,600 up to $3,500 for one single chair. For this company, I can get 4 chairs, $400 a chair, $1,600 a year lease. And they take care of all the maintenance, they come in and clean them, everything. So that's what I'm hoping to do by transferring $1,600 from equipment to a contractual, so we can get heavy duty 24/7 chairs instead of the office chairs that don't last. And that's what I'm asking your permission for.
Move to approve.
So we need to create a line item.
Create line 30100 contractual services and transfer 1,600 from 37002.
3, all right. Eric motions to move
Yeah, I'll second.
$400 a chair per year.
1,600 from line item 30010.
30100.
30100.
Heavy duty, everything. If there's any, if arm breaks off of it, they will
And transfer
send
from
parts.
37.
From equipment?
002.
Hydraulic cylinders, same one. And every year they'll bring us 4
I have
new
one in my
chairs.
office.
Are you still looking at
I
upgrading?
hate my chair.
To what was it?
37002.
I got my, we had a CAD vendor come in last Thursday and showed us theirs. It was an 8-hour-long day. And we came back to my office yesterday with the quote already. It's, CADs are not cheap. This is in the new world, like Parkland uses, you're looking at Parkland will spend $1.7 billion. And this one is $668,000.
So we're creating the line item.
We're gonna try and split that cost.
30100.
The county and all the agencies.
And transferring from 370.
Okay, let's create it first.
Scottsburg and Austin Council, I think, Scottsburg's portion would have been 49,000. And Austin's looking at 37,000.
Did you get any feedback on that yet?
No, I just got the quote yesterday. And I sent them back to do more homework, because the,
And then 37002 is their equipment line.
agreement is going to be 91,000. We're gonna try to split that between the county and both cities. That's what we're-
Well, it's probably a good time, so I think they're gonna get some CARES Act money too.
Said I'm trying to,
That's considered infrastructure.
I'm trying to get everything called out, because I've been here for going on 22 years. And the first moved in across the street over there was Central. We were top 5 in the tri-state area, technology-wise, and we had dropped probably in the bottom 5, because we just haven't kept up.
It's something we need to look at, really.
But that's all I have.
All right, so Eric motioned to create line item 30100. Do I have a
did.
second?
Donnie second.
Oh, Donnie. All in favor? 7-0. Okay, and do I have a motion to transfer $1,600 from 37002 equipment line item to the newly created line item 30100, calling it contractual?
I so moved.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Diane motioned and Raymond second.
They were both jumping at the
All in favor? 7-0. All right, thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate you, and I got a little paper I'm gonna hand all of you. It's, when I took over, 911 I idea what EMA would tell them, I gave commissioners. Called Troy Morgan at Jefferson County, I said, hey, can you help me out, what do you require to be called on? And he said, I'll do one better, I'll send you the list of what the state says you have to be notified of. So I'm gonna hand that out to you guys, so you can, some of you are new and probably don't have any idea like I did what EMA is supposed to be doing, so I'll hand that out to you.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, community corrections. Mr. Bryan?
All right. I've got Amanda with me, she can explain more about, basically fixing our budget and where some items were taken out between when we paid them and, or before we paid them, they were taken out.
We had a part-time position last year that we did not use, so the council removed it. We didn't use it due to COVID. Now we are up to 105, around about 105 clients on home detention, and we are needing that part-time position to be placed back into our budget where it was removed last year, just because we had not used it last year due to COVID.
Do you pay out of user fees?
Yes.
So do we need to create a new position on the salary ordinance again?
We need to add the part-time back to the community corrections department. And then does it pay is this a skill set that they have to have? What was the wage? Is it our regular part-time hours?
Yes.
Wages per hour, so it's like 11?
No, that's
$16.59.
$16.59
That's what I was
was
getting
what
at.
we paid before, when we had the
Okay.
part-time position.
Part-time, permanent.
$16.59.
Yeah, so it would be like 16,
$16.59.
16.59.
And is that with or without the break?
And this position that you guys are paying for, I mean, you paid for it out of user fees, is what you said earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many hours a week are we talking?
28 at the most. We're gonna try, we really need somebody there 3 days a week, but if we possibly would to cover vacations or anything like that, would be 4 days a week.
So you're talking a 7-hour day then? So it's 21 to 28 hours a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are they gonna be doing?
They will be helping with intakes, drug screens, classes if we need the help with that. Because we do offer evening classes for our offenders. Just kind of being the backup to help if anybody's off with medical or vacation, anything like that as well. And then we also started a new program during COVID where I have to do pretrial assessments for the judge. So getting them trained to help with those would also be very beneficial. I'll take some load off of some other people in the office that have been doing them.
All right, do I have a motion to bring back the part-time permanent at $16.59, 21 to 28 hours at most, 4 days a week?
Lindy?
Lindy?
And, Diane. Second.
All in favor? 7-0?
So when do you think about putting that person in place?
Do we need to do the pay separate?
Like immediately?
Well, we have
Do it
one
all
right
together?
now
Yeah.
that we're hiring for a full-time position.
It's
To replace one, and then we will then, probably, I would not like to do it right now because I'd like to get our full-time person hired and trained, so it may be a month or so before we actually try to get that going.
And the other thing we need to talk about is the full-time admin that we're getting ready to hire was a 40-hour position that needs to be bumped back to a 35-hour position to keep everybody the same. Right now,
So you lost one and you're filling that position, is what you're saying?
we lost one, we're filling that position. And then we're going to and it was a 40-hour position, and it needs to be 35.
Go back to 35.
Go back like the other admin is.
Right. Do you need a motion on that? I'll make a motion that full-time position goes back from 40 hours back to 35 hours as it originally once was.
Right.
And that
But
was,
it's still
that
considered
was
full-time.
correct.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
full-time position.
What, Tim?
You want all your admin over there to be at 35, because we had a discrepancy on the salary ordinance. There was one set at 40 and two were set at 35.
Yeah.
Oh, no, one at 30, one at
No,
40
that
and two
was
at
right, yeah.
35. So we're just wanting to make them all consistent like other clerical positions.
Right.
And set them, so you want to set all the admin at community corrections at 35
Are
hours
they
per
all
week.
set at 35 right now?
That's what we're
Yes,
trying to do.
Because Missy
Yeah.
is classified as a case manager, so she's different.
Yeah, so they'll all be at 35 hours. I think
the
that
others are
was
considered
unusual.
Yes.
Because
Because
there
they
for a
was
while, they
gonna make
were-
them do something different, teach classes or something.
And they
Oh, yeah,
kind
we
of
went-
flexed from 35 to 40
There was a
for
reason you
while.
went
We went from
35
about
to 40.
36 people, we're at the 105 now, and in that process, we've added classes, pre-trials, there's a lot of things we've added in.
Okay.
And that person had to work more than the 35 hours because to be there late with the person doing the classes there.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor? 7-0.
Shut up, let's go.
I thank you much.
Thank you, guys.
She didn't do nobody else that way.
Yeah.
See you guys.
You guys have a good evening.
Next, there's same at the courthouse. It should be same as the courthouse.
Do we wanna go, there's nobody else. Anybody else need to bring any business to the table before we?
Cemetery?
No, but I was asking if anybody else was out there
Oh,
that
out there.
I
I'm
missed.
sorry.
All right, let's go back to the highway department.
And basically, I'll just update you, Commissioner Lisenby is here. They did make their selection at the end of April for their highway supervisor's job. They were unable to basically get an engineer to finish what they had started before, thinking that they were gonna do an engineer. Just to kind of interject, all your salary ordinance amendments that we've created, I'll go back and recap those and give you a sheet in your June meeting. And that way you guys can re-sign your salary ordinance or assign a salary ordinance amendment to reflect all the changes you've made for the first half of the year. So, that being said, just wanted to update you basically on that. There's really no action that I can see needs to be taken because that salary was, budgeted for that supervisor position. The commissioners at their next meeting will be going back to the supervisor job description. So that will get reinstated, so to speak, as the lead for the highway department. And so for the time being, there is no engineer. Mr. Hall just signed his offer of employment yesterday.
So was he already offered the 55,000 without us taking it down?
I'm just going by council, I'm assuming that if you guys wanted to adjust it, it would have gotten adjusted, prior to, the
Well, I mentioned
bookkeeper
that I
thing.
wanted to adjust it
Yeah.
before they hired anybody.
John, in that meeting, did you tell him the salary was 55,000
No,
in the interview?
no. Well, I don't think so.
I
No,
think so.
no. We actually send the auditors always to, not just that issue, but all benefits.
And all I had to tell him at the time was what was budgeted, that's
So,
what was.
so you told him 55,000?
That was what was budgeted, I told him that's what was budgeted for the position. Now, the question about bookkeeper is where you guys are going, I don't know until Mr. Hall gets in place what his intentions are for that position, I think that's a conversation.
Well, we just added the 5,000 to the director is what I'm talking about, because we wanted to go back. I thought it would be on the agenda this time. I didn't even think about it. But taking that, at least that extra 5,000 off to see what they were gonna do, because Jill's been there almost 20 years. She had the experience, she's rode the pay raise up. So this new person coming in, we're gonna start them out at max here again, just like we did the engineer. We're not gonna have any room to move on it.
That, again, that's a council commission discussion. All I could report was what was the salary at the time.
So you've already told him 55?
So that had to be what was on the offer, because I didn't have anything else to go by, because there had been no action by any of the boards in between, so.
You know, that's what bothers me, is if he's thinking he's making 55,000. I'm like her, if we'd have probably discussed that before, we might have probably changed that. If he's coming in and thinking he's gonna make 55,000, I mean, he may change his mind if we drop it to 50. So,
And I do know from personal
It's just
conversation
tough
with him,
situation.
and believe me, I'm not trying to negotiate salaries or set salaries for
No,
council
no, we
or
know that.
set commissioner salaries or what they wanna pay him. But I do know that conversation that I had with Mr. Hall, that due to, and he does have a lot of experience, I think that's why the board went with him as well. He's got 10+ years at NDOT, he's got a lot of experience I think he would bring to the table. But again, it's not my call. He is, you know, on paper, he's a very qualified individual, and I don't think competitive wise out there, we're gonna find somebody that we can get in for that position any cheaper. Because, the pay scale is going up July 1 for all the state employees, and he couldn't come in for a dime less than that. And then we're gonna be set back again. So, there is that learning curve there with that, because I do believe you guys will really need to take a look at the AIC book before you budget salaries, this next time. Yeah, because we are getting out of touch with the salaries and what it takes to bring somebody in at these department head levels. Because you've gotta remember, these people hire and fire, they're right hand to the commissioners. And there's a lot of responsibility anymore, because things aren't, they seem to be getting harder instead of easier. And when you're a department head, it's not easy. I'll attest to that myself. I take a lot of calls from them. We travel through a lot of muddy waters together every day.
due to the situation, I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
And there's really, actually, there's really no amendment, so to speak, so if that would be your motion to not, move off of the amount that was budgeted.
But we don't need a motion.
But we don't know if
We don't
that's,
need anything.
is that what he's
We
assuming?
don't need
or
to do
does he-
anything, do we?
No,
I
there's
think
no
he's
action.
assuming that, yeah.
That's what she's told him.
We
Because
don't
that was
need
what
to
we
do
budgeted,
anything.
so
He come in and
Tammy's
talk.
already
Still waiting?
she's already told him 55, yeah.
She said the budget was 55, and that's what he's.
It's my bad, I should have, that day that we were talking about the engineer, we should have just went ahead and changed that salary, dropped it down to starting, and then we could have always went up, but now it's done deal.
Well, it sounds
And I'm
like
gonna
he's
say
highly
this,
qualified.
a lot of it is
so-
timing, a lot of it is timing, you know.
Right, yeah.
It's just, they had to keep rolling. I mean, they thought they had somebody, they
Well,
thought
they
it
didn't
was
do
a
anything
done deal.
faster on the other two, so I just thought we could get it on the agenda, but that's all right.
We don't need to do anything.
Yeah, that's right, we
Right,
don't
yeah,
do it,
it's
so,
there. It's there.
yeah, I rescind that to him because we don't have to do
No
anything.
action.
All right, cemetery. Go.
Cemetery, it is an additional appropriation for $800 for repairs that they need on one of their mower. Is it one more, John, or two?
They had one more that, was up at Hauser to be repaired. And we actually were going to not repair it, so they were quoting numbers on it like $2,500 to repair this mower. And we had them look at it even harder, and they decided they could repair it for $800. So we decided it was worth the keep. It was only like a 3 or 4 year old mower. So $800 repair the fire station, yes.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a motion, Eric second. All in favor? 7-0. Are we gonna wait to do minutes next go around?
I gave them to y'all at the last meeting. I already had them done, I said, yeah, I gave you guys a copy at the last time you guys were together, March 9th meeting. Do you remember me handing you guys that? Because I didn't get them. Maybe,
No.
no, you don't remember, okay.
I couldn't have changed.
We can do them next time. I'll just be a little bit behind with the state, it's no big deal.
Hold
I'll
on,
send
I
them to you
mean-
guys again.
I have one quick question,
I'm
sorry.
I've got a copy of the minutes if anybody wants to read them.
It's about, United Way and the partnership. Were you guys gonna talk about that at your next meeting? Remember they came before council?
Or at least for February?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you can
I read
see
it.
on budget that,
What's my name?
I'm on both boards, so that's my other half that I do outside of.
If you're going to consider that, I need to know how much you want me to put in an ad.
On what, sorry?
On
So I asked
United
about
Way.
partnership in the United Way, they came to you guys almost, or last month, the month before last, and I just asked if it was on the next agenda. I didn't know what to tell them.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Okay, I know, but, okay.
So I'll get with Jeannie, I'll tell her that,
And then just tell Nancy that you guys are
Yep.
working on it, okay.
did everybody else read the minutes for March?
I have, but I don't remember.
You haven't read
I
them?
read them every time,
You
but I
have?
couldn't tell.
Well, if everybody else read them,
Right.
I think what happened, I thought I passed them out and I said, here, this is for next time, because I'd almost got them finished and then I'd had them done and then I think I gave them out, but I didn't send them for approval.
Didn't you email them as well?
Yeah, I think I did. See, that's where I had in my mind, I'd send them, which is way earlier than I normally send them. And I messed you up probably by doing them too early.
Because I read them usually in my email.
Yes.
all right, let's go ahead and,
Mark.
You don't have to do them. If you, I'll resend them and you guys can
no,
do
I
it
don't want
next
you to get
time.
behind, that's,
Huh?
Not once you've done.
I'm good.
It was a real little, it was a small one, you need to, it didn't have much content. It wasn't as big as one of the other ones.
you left out some good juicy stuff, but
I tried not to
Thank
be
you.
too dramatic.
Thank you for leaving it out.
So are we approving minutes right now?
It's on video.
March
Oh,
the
yeah.
9th, I think it's March 9th.
Yes.
If we need it.
We need a motion to approve?
You make a motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna move to approve.
Are you good, Rachel?
yeah, do I have a second?
Second.
Anyway.
Did you read them, Eric?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What date was it?
Move to approve. All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Thank you very much.
I wanna see what you're grinning.
Oh, well, I take it back.
I want to ask Eric a few questions now that we voted on them.
It's a pop quiz.
Well,
I told you last December.
All righty, that was the minutes. Anybody else have anything? Just remember May 22nd, we've got the auction, sheriff's auction, we've got the Farmers to Family, so if you know anybody that needs food, come pick them up a box or come help or,
And if you guys talk to anybody, I guess somebody was complaining Saturday, saying, well, they were loading a bunch of boxes in this one girl's car. Well, if they've got more than one household that they're picking up, they've got their ID, our lady from get-go, 7 boxes. Every time we do it, she's got 7 IDs. They're for people that can't get out of their home or whatever. We don't just willy-nilly just throw them out there. But-
Did they even say something about that in the paper too?
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, so, I just try to make sure that I reassure people that, we're just not, giving them just,
I'd say whoever's complaining, have them come in, and they'll be welcome, then we go tell those people no.
yeah. We take
It's
them to
easy to
church.
complain. It's easy for people to complain.
Yeah.
They need to
They
volunteer
said,
and
well,
jump in
she
and
was
make
just,
it better.
yeah, I heard that, this girl's just in here complaining about the girl that's in charge.
can we not question, because it's right there in our meeting minutes. Gillespie moved to retain the budgeted amount for the highway supervisor at, well, I guess everybody, at 55,286, motion carried with 5 opposed, never mind. All right, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
More than happy to, right?
Is that 7-0? I'm assuming. I'll leave.
all in favor?
All in favor, get up and walk out.
Oh, see, there goes the table again.
The red button?
Yeah.